2 and 1. Request Babusan.
Namaste, ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. Myself Narendra Babu. Heartily welcome all Toyota members, management, family members, friends, and all the people who have joined today's webinar on zero waste lifestyle. Toyota every year celebrates June month as Environment Month. During this month, we conduct various environment awareness programs, not only for Toyota members, but also our stakeholders, suppliers, dealers, family members. Also, we encourage school children, society, community through various engagement programs like planting the saplings, clean drive initiatives, plastic awareness programs, drawing competitions, quiz competitions. Also, Toyota we are organizing various webinars and expert talks who have done immense contribution in the field of environment. We learn from them and we promote and we continue this activity. Today, we have Madam Vani Murthy, who lives in Bangalore. She was one of the common citizens like all of us. She was very quiet and a shy lady. It was a paradigm shift for the Madam Vani Murthy. When it all began, when her kids grew up and she joined the Residents Welfare Association in Malleshwaram. First, she started this activity by herself in her own apartment by her own kids of recycling the waste. It was in 2007 when she attended the seminar on solid waste management by Sri Srinivasan at Vellore and learned about the composting techniques. During the same year, when she visited the landfill condition in Bangalore, that day she was really surprised and decided that whatever the waste that which is generated in my house will never be sent here. In 2008, she started her journey in the solid waste management in Bangalore city. Wealth Out of Waste program started building awareness in co-citizens at Malleshwaram. She is a founding member, We Care for Malleshwaram. Madam Vani Murthy has passionately tested every home in the composting method available. The value which is generated in the kitchen to grow all kinds of flowers, fruits, vegetables, and including many of the herbs. With the zero lifestyle, over more than 12 years of her journey, she started to raise her bar day by day. She has more than 187,000 followers on Instagram with extensive videos on composting techniques. Several households have begun towards sustainable lifestyle practices now. Year 2020, COVID-19 became an opportunity for the madam. Through virtual platforms, she conducted numerous programs and workshops, which she was unable to do in the last 10 years. Madam really feels very happy for getting such an opportunity towards connecting the people and promoting this. Vani Murthy madam just doesn't talk about this. She believes in the live demonstrations where people see with their own eyes, believe and start practicing this. Madam says, whatever we got from the soil, we have to return it back in the same way to this soil, to this earth. With this small introduction of the madam, now I request Madam Vani Murthy to give the real insights on zero waste lifestyle. Thank you very much. Over to Madam Vani Murthy.
Thank you, Narendra ji. Thank you so much, and a very good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
It is always a pleasure to talk to groups of people. I don't know how many of you all are there, but hearty welcome. I'm sure most of you are aware of what low waste life will be. But today's session is all about my practices. I can't show all my practices, but definitely will try to fit in as much as possible with a limited time. To me, as Narendra ji said, I strongly believe that we need to, pay a rent to stay on this planet. Most of us are destroying it without our knowledge because there is hardly any awareness on the impact of the certain certain practices that we have, which we are not even aware having a negative impact on the climate change. We are talking about so many things to reverse. So the earth needs regeneration. For that we need to live light, we need to live consciously, and we need to take on practices at one practice at a time, so that we are on a path of sustainable living. There's nothing like zero waste. We are always generating waste, but what kind of waste are we generating? How are we going to manage it is the crux of the whole thing. So waste itself is end of use for us, but there's so much of it that doesn't get recovered, and if it goes in a mixed form, it does hurt the planet, it hurts the environment, and it is mostly burnt, dumped, it ends up in the ocean, river, it ends up somewhere hurting the planet in some way or the other. So one of the things that, as Narendraji said, what changed my view of waste is visiting the landfill, and I keep recommending to people that that's one thing that can shift you completely from managing your waste, instead of just letting it go and asking the assuming that the municipality will take care of it. No municipality can take care of the humongous waste that we generate. It's almost 5,000 to 6,000 tons in Bangalore, and that I'm a part of a group called SWMRT, that is a Solid Waste Management Roundtable, and we together since 2009 have been trying to sensitize citizens on what their role is to manage a city's waste. We don't have to think that once we give our waste out that somebody else is going to manage it. It's not going to happen because of the kind of waste that we generate, and there is no scientific process to manage this waste. So one thing what happens at the landfill is, most of the waste that we generate and send to the landfill is organic in nature. It comes from our kitchen, and that gets compacted because every day they dump, and they compress it, again dump the next day. So much of waste starts growing like a mountain of waste. And this, when organic matter gets compacted and there's no oxygen, then the breakdown happens anaerobically. And when it happens anaerobically, a greenhouse gas, that is methane, that gets emitted from these landfills, and that is absolutely polluting. It is actually 20 to 20 times worse than carbon dioxide. So when we send our wet waste out of our home, that's our kitchen waste, definitely it is going to add on to the global warming, because the greenhouse gases do that. That's one thing that we need to be aware of. The second thing that happens at the landfill is that dark fluid called the leachate that runs off these landfills, and they're very toxic in nature, and because of the organic matter breaking down anaerobically, you get this leachate, and that runs off and it enters not just the soil around but also the groundwater. And actually there are villages, when we went and visited the landfill, there were villages around actually growing the food, the vegetables, fresh vegetables, to be sent to the city because it's in the outskirts. And so the soil there is contaminated, and the vegetables grown there is coming back to us in a contaminated form. Secondly, it enters the groundwater, and the water also gets contaminated. So the three things that we value the most, it is the air, water, and soil to grow our food gets contaminated. So this is what we are contributing. So instead, if we do a waste audit and look at what resources we're losing out, because organic matter, which is nothing but our kitchen waste, things that we have eaten, it's all these are good resource that needs to go back to soil. And secondly, it's getting lost. So that's one thing. So when we do a waste audit, that's how we realize the kind of waste we do. When we do waste audit, we get to know how much portion is our kitchen waste, what kind of dry recyclables that we have, what kind of dry waste, which is non-recyclable, that we have, is there any toxic or sanitary waste that we discharge? So when we break that up, we get to know what action can we take. The first thing that we realize is, we need to refuse to reduce our waste. That is like, when you talk about the 3 R's, they talk about the reduce, reuse, and recycle, but we have put another R right above that. It is the refuse. So what is it? This is the practice that we all have taken up in SWMRT, and most most of the people who live on a path of sustainability pick up this as a very good practice, that you refuse anything that is used once and discarded. That is the one-time use. So we are so it's so convenient to use things and discard. It's like the single-use stuff. It could be your plastic cover. The plastic cover that we accept instead of refusing, we accept it when we go to buy our groceries. And of late, they give you not just a plastic cover, they give you, when it's banned, they give you something like this. This is called, they call it cloth bag, but it is not. This is a PP bag. This is a polypropylene non-woven bag. And this bag is again, it's non-recyclable. And I'll just show you a small example of why, because this is nothing but plastic. If I burn it, it burns like plastic. You can see it sticks and it smells like plastic. So instead, refuse and carry your own bag wherever you go. That could be one of the first practices you can start. That you remember when you go out that you carry a bag. Same way, carry a bottled water so that you can absolutely say no to something that is, there is resource used to make it. It travels miles, it goes and gets filled with water. We don't even know what kind of water. And then you use it once and you discard it. So it really makes no sense, because to make this bottle of water, you not just, extract natural resource, but also it takes 1.5 times this capacity of water to make this plastic. So it makes no sense for us. So if we carry our own, bottles, it'll be the best shift that we can make, whether we are traveling, whether we're going for a conference, whether we're going for a wedding. Just carry yours and start refilling it whenever you need to, fill up that bottle. So that could be the second practice that we can start. And another thing is, we all love giving gifts. If we could just refuse to give in stuff that creates waste, because these are multi-layer, they make that sound. If we just avoid this and probably use an old chunni or some nice cloth, leftover, something that you can reuse to, or even a newspaper to wrap our gifts. So, you can feel proud. You don't have to wonder what people will think. It doesn't matter. But this is most important, that we avoid letting this go and it landing up somewhere and staying on this planet for a very long time. So even your, birthday parties for your children can be absolutely without all these frills, and you make it eco-friendly, because that's the way to go. And then cutlery, when you go out, and if you want to have an El Niru, that is the tender coconut, or if you want to have a kind of cocktail or a juice, they give you, a plastic straw or even paper straws. Today, when plastic is banned, you get paper straws. So, but the thing is, both of them are single use. So we can easily say no to that by either carrying our own steel straw, which is like, it has a nice brush that you can keep it clean, and you don't even know if the tender coconut guy has cleaned this or he's picked up from the previous thing, and none of us look through it to see if there is any spider inside. We just drink it. So it's so much safer to carry your own, and make sure that every cutlery that is used once and discarded can be completely refused by us. It's a fantastic challenge to yourself. Where can I refuse? Where will I be going? How do I plan? All this becomes a part of the exciting journey to be on that path of sustainability. And of course, you all would say, okay, plastic could be, it is kind of something that we shouldn't be using. Paper cup is biodegradable. Why not? But then paper cup again is something that is single use. Number one. Secondly, we are just conned by the fact that this is completely paper, because there is, when I put it in my compost, there is a part of the middle part, that is between two layers of paper, you have a layer of plastic, a thin polythene. So no industry will take it. The recycling industry of paper will not take it, because they have to separate it. And then the plastic industry, this is a cheap plastic which has no value. So this gets discarded. So it's again single use, which is discarded. So, carrying your own tumbler for a chai that you're going on a travel, or you go to some conference and they're going to give you in a paper cup, you can accept it. There is so much pride when I take out my, everybody will look at you and stare at you and wonder what you're doing. But then you must have that pride that I'm not going to accept this. I'll refuse this, and I'm going to have my own cup where I will drink my tea or the juice or the welcome drink or whatever. So this could be, again, something that we can all practice. And then, of course, I also carry a steel plate, a small steel plate, because I refuse. Suppose I go out and I have kind of, I need to eat something, and wherever I go, maybe a sandwich or a vada pav could be given in a paper plate which has this multi-layer. So, I will refuse straight away. I'll say, don't put it in that. Please take my plate and serve me in this. So I pull out my plate even in weddings and parties. I don't care what people think. For me, it's important. I don't accept this and create this, trash. The minute, I stop using it, the minute I've stopped eating it, it becomes trash. And that's something we need to be extremely cautious of. And another, very important thing, especially for women, is to stop, using sanitary pads that are disposables. In your period time for that many years, that every month that you're generating these is 90% plastic. It has gels, it has all kinds of bleaches which are not good for us. So if we move back to days when we were using cloth pads, you get lovely cloth pads now. So this is more sustainable way of treating your periods, that you are not discharging these month after month, several in the days, in a day that you have your period. And moving back to this, avoiding tampons and actually going for a menstrual cup. I'm sure many of you women and you men who have wives, sisters and mothers and girlfriends, who think of, gifting this to them, so that, they are actually completely liberated. Because menstrual cup, this cup is made of silicone, and this is like, it absolutely liberates the woman. They don't even realize. I missed the bus, because when I got introduced to this, I was beyond my period time. I went over that. So I always say I missed the chance of, actually using this and feeling that liberation during your periods. So this is another way to, create that sustainability in your life, by saying no. And all those mothers who have young children, diapers is another thing that we use very often. This is again full of gels that absorb, the liquid. It has all kinds of dyes, and again 90% plastic. And this again is trash that keeps generating every day when you are, baby diapering. And if we move to cloth diapering, we get lovely colored, and good inserts which are absorbable. And these are good shifts that we can make, so that we don't have to generate this. So that's again very important for us. And wherever I go, I will not accept a tissue. Nobody in my house, if they come to my house, nobody will get a tissue, because I always replace it by little cocktail napkins. These made from curtains, linen curtains that I made them. And always, wherever I go, I carry them, so that I don't have to use a tissue. I can completely avoid. So refuse. Everywhere you go, you refuse stuff that becomes trash immediately. And also today with COVID, we're not going to get over COVID. We need masks. So stop using anything that is single use again, because this is creating so much of trash that we have no idea the kind of masks that are being generated all over, in the oceans, in the rivers, everywhere. So cloth masking should be the one that we need to depend on now as we progress. So things like that, on weekend comes and you want some chips for your evening, take your boxes, take your dabba to the hot chips guy, instead of him packing it in a plastic cover, or you buying some Lay's chips which has that packaging which is shiny, which is non-recyclable. Take your boxes and get the chips, or whatever, bakery, go to the bakery, pick up the bread in your own boxes, biscuits, bakery biscuits in your own boxes, so that you avoid all this packaging which ultimately becomes trash. So these are some of the things that we can inculcate in our daily practice. And that way we are definitely creating less trash, because once you generate less, then it's easier to manage whatever is still being generated. So obviously, trying to find people who are sending you stuff that you order unpackaged, or packaging in eco-friendly stuff, not using too much plastic, could be another way to graduate. So all these practices have to be done very slowly and steadily. You don't have to take all the practices together. Shifting from the next toothbrush that you buy could be a bamboo one, so that you're not using the plastic. And whatever you have, don't discard it now and then say, I'm going to take everything that is non-plastic. It doesn't work because you've already spent some money. So things like the clip, this is the clothes clip that you hang your clothes on. This is again plastic. So if we could next time, these keep breaking because you can move to a bamboo one or a metal one, so that next purchase that you do, even your earbuds, instead of that blue plastic, you can start, because that gets lost and it's going to stay on this planet for a very, very long time. That blue plastic thing that comes with your earbuds. So this is a bamboo one. So you can make these small shifts. Next time you buy a comb, don't go for the plastic one, go for the wooden one. And your brush, your scrubbing brush, that you can go for something that is made from natural materials, which is biodegradable. Same way, a coir scrub in your kitchen could be another amazing way to say no to those those plastic scrubs that we have. So these are small shifts over a period of time that we make. It's not like, suddenly we have realized and then we need to do all the shifts together. It doesn't happen like that. And another thing that we can do is to, start segregating our waste. In Bangalore, it is mandatory, but of course, because lack of enforcement, everybody don't segregate. They get away by not segregating, but segregation is very important. We also, when SWMRT went to court, we got it mandated by the court and for the city of Bangalore. And also, we also got the court to say that there should be a dry waste collection center in every ward. We have 198 wards, and each ward should have a dry waste collection center. And that's a collection center where all your dry waste go. So when you segregate your waste, in the sense, you put stuff into different bins. Like we have a uniform color-coded one in Bangalore called 2 bin 1 bag. So the 2 bins are, one is the green bin that you can see there. It's the green bin where all your organic waste, your kitchen waste can be collected. Then there is the red bin where you can put all your hazardous waste. It could be, sanitary pads, broken glass. It could be some kind of toxic material that was in your house, can be kept in the red bin. And the bag is for recyclables. Now that you have reduced most of the plastic that is single use and that are like non-recyclable, then the remaining plastic can go for recycling. Like, if it's a shampoo, a Harpic bottle, a shampoo bottle, they all can go for recycling. So every bit of paper, every bit of plastic, metal and glass can be put in that bag, and you can hang it in your, utility. And once in a week or once in a fortnight, you can go and drop it off at that, or find someone to come and pick it up. If you're a big apartment, you will have service providers who will come and pick up that waste so that, it goes for recycling. And for recycling, it has to be clean, because we need to give dignity to the people who work in that sector. They are the waste workers, and it is such a shame to see them sort waste which is so badly kept. You take your takeaways. If suppose you have ordered something on the Swiggy, you don't even rinse it and you put it off in the waste, and it ends up in the dry waste collection center, and they have to open it. It's stinking. So if we need to really acknowledge the people who work in the waste sector, we need to make sure that our waste, our dry waste, which is recyclable, has to be clean. So a milk packet, if it is rinsed a little, use that water to make your chai, and then dry it and then put it into your recycling bag, so that everything that you collect does not attract ants, it does not attract smell, and it doesn't attract anything that could make it look messy for someone to sort it. Because at the recycling center, they sort it into different categories, and each category into different grades, and they create more value in the waste that we generate. And that is the way they earn a living. And this goes for recycling, and we are somewhere trying to close the cycle and not let good material gets lost, because most of it, when it gets mixed up, resources get lost. We are cutting down trees to make paper. Every bit of paper is so valuable, and every bit of plastic that is good plastic, not multi-layer or something that is very cheap, but good plastic, virgin plastic, has to go back for recycling. So having said this, the third category is, your wet waste. What do you do with that? And that's my favorite subject. And I would spend 10 minutes, trying to tell you all what we can do with the wet waste. Because I think, when I started composting, I think it opened a door to the most beautiful part of my life, where I have nature in my garden, in my home. I have I make choices about the food that I eat. Everything changed because I started composting. So I am so thankful that the day I went and visited the landfill, and then I learned how to compost that, because I did not want to send my waste to an already mess which is there. So that is why I decided. So when you compost, when you say this is organic matter that comes from my kitchen, and it is 60% of what I generate, of the total waste that I generate, 60% is organic nature. It is from my kitchen, and this is something that I can just save from getting lost forever. And also, not just getting lost, it's also creating pollution. It contributes to the greenhouse gas, the methane. So composting is nothing but breakdown of organic matter. So I'll take you quickly through a small demo on composting. So what can be composted? How is the process? Can we all take it up? Small homes, less space, time spent, all those things. I'll just try to break it for you, because once you make a choice to compost, the choice has to be very strong. It shouldn't be because I'm telling you, or it's like a lot of people are doing, let me give it a try. No, it is a choice for you to say, this is precious. This resource is precious, and I'm not going to let go of this. And when you collect your wet waste, make sure you put it in something like this, so that you drain out all the extra water. That's tip number 1 that I'm giving you. So whenever you collect, you make sure you collect it in something that it drains out all the excess water from yours. You can see almost half a cup of water I have underneath, which is from the watermelon. The second tip is, try to cut it into smaller pieces. The breakdown happens faster. So what is composting? Composting is nothing but breaking down of organic matter, and the organic matter from your kitchen is your fruit peels. Today we ate watermelon, we ate mangoes, and your vegetable peels. It could be your capsicum, onions, beans, carrot peels, any peels that you come, your coffee and tea. Then it could be your eggshells. So stick to this. When you start for the first time, stick to things that you can manage easily. Don't go and dump all your leftover spoiled food into your compost bin, because that will definitely short failure for you. So make sure that you can manage till you get a hang of composting. So once you do a few rounds of composting, then you are very sure that you got it, and it's for life. It's like the most sustaining action that you can take every day, to say that I thank this planet for giving me what I have, and this is what I do in return. That I'm not going to pollute you, and I'm going to convert this into beautiful soil to grow food. So I'm going to regenerate soil, because this belongs to soil. This is something that needs to go back to building soil. So when you know that for a fact, then no matter what challenges you get in composting, you would consider that as a learning. Every challenge in composting should be a learning to make yourself a better composter. Like, you learn more from that. I failed terribly when I did for the first time, and I'm so glad I failed, because that's where I started learning about composting, and I talk with so much of confidence about composting. So turning this organic matter into something that you put in soil, which is readily available for plants to absorb nutrition. So composting is that organic matter that is readily available for the plants to get their nutrients, right? So when you feed the soil through your compost, you're feeding the millions of microorganisms, that is the life in the soil. You're feeding the life in the soil, and food has to be grown in a living soil, right? Today we have moved away from that. It's all chemicals. We use chemical fertilizers, we use all kinds of pesticides, herbicides, everything to spray onto our plants, and there is hardly anything that is natural. So when you talk about food, it has to be grown naturally in a living soil. The earth is supposed to have only living soil, but we are damaging it. So this is one way to regenerate that. And this living soil feeds the plant. It gives nutrients to the plant. And when we eat something of that plant, we are getting the nutrients. So we are closing the nutrient cycle by just composting our kitchen waste and allowing this to feed our plants, which in turn feeds us. So that is a beautiful cycle to maintain. For me, it's magical to see that whole process happening. So for composting, what do you need? There are 5 things that I'll keep you have to keep in mind. I'll do a small demo. One is the fresh green waste, all that I told. What can't go in is, in the beginning, don't cook food. Definitely keep away meat and non-vegetarian, and also dairy. If you have paneer or something that's got spoiled, don't put in your compost, because some of them can become pathogenic and some you may not be able to handle it. It's too dense. It's too dense, and you want your compost to be very fluffy and airy, right? And you don't want bad smell to come. So that's why you have to avoid. But once you understand composting, you can compost everything. There's anything that is biodegradable can be composted. So that's one thing. This is the green waste, and also this is it is high in nitrogen. This is high in nitrogen, this wet waste. And because of the nature of the wet waste, it's better to drain out all the excess water so that, your pile doesn't get too wet and soggy. That's one of the reasons why you need to drain extra. The second thing is the browns. The browns, there are options for browns. You can have, for me, the best option for brown is dry leaves. I shred them and keep. These are available in plenty. It's like, in season, every tree sheds dry leaves. And what do? We sweep it off the ground and then we burn it or cart it away, because we consider this as garbage. Dry leaves are garbage. No, it is carbon material that needs to go back to that tree and feed that tree some nutrients. But what are we doing? We are doing exactly the opposite. We remove stuff that needs to go back to soil. And so I collect, dry leaves for the whole year. I get people gifting me bagfuls of compost because they know that I treasure this. This is something that is very valuable to me. And that if you don't have dry leaves right away, you can use, now this is the mango season, you get a lot of straw, just chop them into smaller pieces, take a big scissors and chop them into, and this could be the part of the brown. So this is high in carbon. It's the dry material which we need to balance the fresh waste, which is very wet, So we need this balance, very important, because this can be very soggy, and this will add the browns which absorb the excess moisture and keeps the moisture balance in your compost very well. Even shredded cardboard could be an option, but the last option. But don't ever put newspapers because it's got the ink. So cardboard can be shredded and this can be used as a brown. Cocoa peat can be used. Sawdust can be used. All these are the brown materials. So that's the second one. That is that you need the browns. And the third thing is that we are doing it in an urban scenario, right? And we don't have a space. We are all living in apartments and all that. So we need something to accelerate. In the natural world, it happens naturally because of plenty of microorganisms in the soil that will take care of the breakdown. But if we need to accelerate the process in our containers, because it's all in containers that we're going to do. You can add a little bit of buttermilk. This is a sour buttermilk. You can add just 1 or 2 spoons to your composting process, and it helps that speed up your composting. And the fourth thing is you need a container. So you can either use a plastic, take an old plastic paint bucket, punch some small holes in it, because this is an aerobic process and you need air circulation. Make sure it has a proper lid, a tight lid, and also you can punch some holes on top. This is one way of trying to make your own, or you can take a gamla. This is a terracotta. I think you can see it. So this is a terracotta one. This can be used to put your composter. So there are different kinds of containers that you can use. So it could be any material. You can store by it, or you can make your own. DIY. So this is the container. And lastly, it is the oxygen. This is, as I told you, it's an aerobic process. It needs a lot of oxygen for all the microbes to colonize and do their job. They are breaking down your compost. So for them to colonize and break down this organic matter, you need oxygen. They need to be fluffed up, and you need to turn the pile once in few days, once in 3-4 days. So that's the whole thing. Every day, what you do is take your fresh waste. I'll just do a small demo. So take your fresh waste, which is you have drained out all the water from it. So add dry leaves. So if you have one handful of, if you put one handful of your kitchen waste, probably put 2 handfuls of shredded dry leaves. How do you shred dry leaves? Put it in a bag, tie the bag up, and jog on it for a few minutes. You got your exercise, plus all your leaves will fracture. They'll start breaking. They'll break up, especially when they are crisp. When the leaves are crisp in summer, when they fall, they break down nicely. So this, you mix them together. Add the accelerator, the little bit of buttermilk. Just add that and give it a nice mix. So what happens when you mix your waste is the browns and the greens get mixed up, and it will not clump. So that's the important tip I want to give you is never let your fresh waste clump up. When it compacts, as I told you, like in the landfill, it will start smelling. The anaerobic activity will start. So don't ever let. So when you mix your dry browns along with your greens, this is my food waste, which it's still fresh. Touching it has no issue for me at all. You mix it up well, and then you put it into your. So this is a lid here, and this is just a pot that I bought in. I don't know how much can I see. Can you see that? No, I don't think so. Yeah. So what I do is I put a netting on top. This netting helps flies from getting inside, soldier flies. And this is like 4 days of waste has come up till the top. So now this is the today's waste. Before I put today's waste, what I do is I usually turn it around so that I introduce oxygen. So this old waste, I give it a turn from bottom up. So you can see the bottom is already getting dark, and it smells so good. It smells earthy because there is oxygen. So giving the pile a nice turn from the bottom helps the composting process to happen very well. So do that, and then you add your kitchen waste, what you have mixed today, and that's it. Then put the netting so that you don't have soldier flies going in, because most people talk about maggots in their kitchen waste. Close it, just close it, and that's it. So this is a simple and easy solution to the waste, and do that every day. And once your container is full, you leave it and start in another container. So the one that you've stopped putting waste, from that day you calculate it takes 40 to 45 days for it to turn into this amazing black gold. I will show you how it looks. So this is the compost. You can see it's black in color, and it is one of the most amazing things, magical things that we can do. So you can see this is the compost, and it smells great. It is slightly moist, and one of the best things that you can add to your soil to grow your food. So this process actually keeps you so active, because every day you're not throwing that waste, those peels, bringing it into your composting. So even space need not be a constraint. Today you have people selling lovely, like 3-tier systems, one over the other. So even a corner of your balcony you can keep. So there'll be 3 buckets kept one over the other, or 3 kambas kept one over the other, which you can use. And also there are vendors who have come up with, when we launched Swachhagraha as a SWMRT, when we launched a campaign called Swachhagraha, where we encourage people to create 3 green spots in their home. One is compost, another is grow, and third is cook. So you're completing the cycle there of everything, right? From nutrition to trash, everything is completed. So we introduced a brick. This brick has not just coco peat, but it also has 10 different kinds of microbes. So when you put it into water, it becomes a powder like this, and you can just, layer your bin. So take any bucket and you can just layer. So you put some dry leaves at the bottom, and then add 1 handful of your, the coco peat, the coco peat that you purchased, which has, the microbes also. Then you put your kitchen waste. So put 1 handful of kitchen waste and spread it. I'm being clumsy here. So you spread it, and again you add 1 more handful of this and cover it. So just do layers and then close it and keep it. That's it. It doesn't take you. It doesn't take you more than 1.5 minutes to bring it up and do this. So I always say it's faster than Maggie. Maggie takes 2 minutes at least. This is faster than Maggie. So a habit which creates a lot of joy in your home. And once you create that amazing black gold, after 40-45 days, what you get, then you add it to your soil, and then you grow whatever you want, even in the smallest spaces. If you have a balcony, you can grow tomatoes, your greens, all that which is growing naturally, which is chemical free, which has dense of nutrients in it. And what a pleasure to eat what you grow, because you can grow what you eat and you can eat what you grow. So that is an amazing cycle that we can complete. So that's about composting. There'll be a lot of questions around composting that keep coming. So if you go onto my Insta page, Worm Rani, I have a lot of IGTV videos, and also I constantly keep putting up some content so that we need to handhold people at least with some kind of information on a daily basis. And another sustainable thing that we do is zero waste parties. My son's wedding was zero waste. Nothing went to the landfill, nothing. We didn't have disposables. So you celebrate your joyous occasions by celebrating this planet. That's so important. And also I shifted from using chemicals at home to start using non-chemical cleaners. All the Harpics and the floor cleaners and the, everything that we were using, I have just discarded everything. I've stopped using them. I make my own, bioenzymes. And then I use shikakai powder to scrub my vessels. So the soap nut pods, we all know about the Antwada, the soap nuts, amazing. This is the shikakai pods. Soaking that in hot water will give you that liquid which is very soapy, which you can use for your laundry, your dishwash. You can use along with your bioenzymes. You can use to clean any surface. So the bioenzyme is a multi-purpose cleaner, and this is made from citrus peels. So if you have lemon peels, if you have orange peels, if you have musambi peels, there is a proportion. 1 part is jaggery, powdered jaggery is 1 part. So if I take 100 grams of jaggery, I will take around 300 grams of citrus peels. It's just the peels. After you've eaten the orange, after you've eaten the musambi, after you squeezed your lemon, you're using only the peels, the citrus peels. So 300 grams of citrus peels and 1 liter of water. That's the proportion. So you can go up or down, depending on how much of peels you have at home. So I collect the peels to get the 300 grams in my refrigerator. I put it in a steel box and collect it till I get 300 grams. Then I take 100 grams of jaggery. I take 1 liter of water, and I put them all together. And after 3 months is what this liquid that I got. This liquid, the transparent liquid, is the enzyme. And there is no jaggery in this anymore because it's a fermentation method, and the jaggery got consumed by the microorganisms. And every day you'll have to release the gas. There's a gas that comes, you can see, you'll see this is almost done. That's why there is no gas, but it has to be in a plastic bottle. And this plastic bottle is like a Y plastic bottle. You can use any discarded plastic bottle which has a tight lid, because in this fermentation method, there is gas that is formed, which needs to be released every day, for first few weeks. And then if you don't release, it'll expand, plastic expands. But if it was a glass bottle, it would break. So that's why we don't say no glass bottle, it's only plastic bottle. So this is another, you can mop your floors, you can clean your bathrooms, your commodes, your tiles, your stove. You can dilute this and spray on anything to clean up. I also use, a little bit, half a cup, half a spoon of this as a conditioner when I soak my, soap nuts, when I use soap nuts to clean my hair. When I soak this in water, I get that liquid. To that liquid, I use half a spoon of this bioenzyme, and that becomes my conditioner for my hair cleaner. It keeps my hair soft. So it's a multi-purpose. Read on. There's so many articles about bioenzymes. So that's a great shift to not let chemicals out of your house. You're letting something that is biodegradable into the ecosystem, because when we use Harpix and other harsh chemicals, they are getting out into the ecosystem in some form or the other. So the whole point is about trying to make sure on your part you take responsibility of the ecosystem around. The environment is so important for us to survive, and along with us there are so many other species that get trapped because the kind of practices that we have, how we have destroyed nature, cutting down trees, putting so much of chemicals in our soil to grow our food. So I think we all can contribute to a better world, leave something behind for generations to come. And I think this is the rent we all can pay for the gratitude we have for this planet that gives us air to breathe, water to survive, and soil to grow our food. And what are we doing? We have to think hard, and it's time that we all start practices slow and steady and make it worth living on this beautiful planet, because we have no other planet to go. With this, I thank you all, and I would definitely take questions, because the questions will come in plenty when I do a quick session like this. Yeah, I'm open to questions. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Vani ma'am, for taking us through a very good insight. For sure, most of us, we always think like how we can reduce or reuse in our day-to-day life. But the important lesson, what you taught us, refuse. For sure, every one of us will consider now on before we thinking what exactly, like where exactly we start refusing things which are going to harm our environment. I'll just quickly read a few questions which are given by our viewers today. So before getting into others' question, like many of my friends, of course, I'm also having a basic doubt on menstrual cup. So it's a very good insight what you have given to all the women out there. Yeah. But how safe or how hygienic it is to reuse the same? So that's the phobia what we all have in our mind. Yeah. So if you can just give us insight on that, then I'll move to others' question.
Definitely. One second. So a menstrual cup is silicone, right? It's made out of silicone. In the medicine world, they use silicone for all implants, and everything is used. So this is absolutely safe for your body. Secondly, where we insert the vagina, it is not a sterile place, right? Yeah, it is. So there is nothing that can go wrong there when you insert this. And secondly, it is you need to keep it hygienic by washing it. That's all. You don't have to worry about anything. My friend Dr. Meenakshi constantly talks about, she's a champion of menstrual hygiene and talking about green the red, that is you're greening your periods. And she always says, when you have intercourse, do you ask your husband to wash? It's like that. You don't have to worry about, the cup creating some problems, because you have enough and more ecosystem there to take care of everything. The only thing is you can avoid is the blood coming out and smelling. It won't smell because it's, it is trapped in this. And once in 8 hours is what you need to take. So the phobia for most people is, how do I insert it? And will it come out? What, it will get lost or something like that. I won't be able to pull it out. So there are lots of videos that you can go through, because I have no practical, experience of using it. I usually don't talk about it, though I know a lot about it. There are different kinds of folds with which you can insert it, and it stays in the vagina. And when you need to pull it out, you just have to pinch it, and then it releases the pressure, and it comes out. And so it is, again, you need to, a couple of times you use, then you get used to it. And my niece, when she came and lived with me, I gifted her this, and she is a athlete. She bikes a lot. She goes to all kinds of, treks and all that. She says this was the most liberating thing, So it was once or twice she was struggling with it because you're so tensed. You need to relax when you insert and remove it. That's it. You don't have to worry. Give it a try. Go and look at Green the Red. That's the campaign. They have fantastic, there are a lot of videos online, helping you to understand better. It is absolutely, safe. Safety part of it, you don't have to worry at all. This is once you use, you will talk about it. You will convert more people. That's what I have seen. So any other doubt about this?
No, for sure this will help a lot of women out there. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Go ahead and give it a
yeah, ma'am. I'll take our next question. One of our member asked, can we use leftover food for composting along with vegetable peels?
Yeah, I was telling you about the leftover food. In the beginning, when you start, I would request you all not to put anything that you cannot manage, because leftover food is dense, right? It has a lot of texture, and like if it is rice, if it's got spoiled or sambar, it's difficult for you to manage because you still don't have a hang of it. Because composting is all about the moisture balance. It shouldn't be too wet, it shouldn't be too dry. So how are we going to manage that is most important. So in the beginning, you should not be adding. But as you start composting, I can add anything in my compost and it'll be sweet smelling. I know that I need to introduce oxygen. I need to introduce enough brown so that it doesn't get wet. So my pile will be moist, but not wet. There's nothing oozing out of it because I know how to manage it, because I have done so many rounds of composting. So go through a few rounds before you start putting things that you can manage.
Sure, ma'am. And one of our friend asked, can we use combination of fertilizer? I think he meant synthetic fertilizer in the process of composting, or how much they can add if it can be allowed to add.
No, you don't have to add anything to your composting process, because composting process just needs your kitchen waste and some brown material and a little accelerator, which could be as simple as buttermilk, sour buttermilk, or it could be even cow dung. Cow dung is another. If you have desi cow, the cow dung itself is an amazing, introduction, because it has so much of microorganisms that it helps the pile. Because if you see natural farming, that's what happens in natural farming. You have cows, you have the cow dung, you use all the leftovers from your crop, to put it back into the soil to create that living soil. There are some store-bought waste decomposers that you can use to accelerate your process, and some powders that are available, but definitely nothing chemical. No, you don't have to put any chemical, even a handful of semi-done compost, or you go out and it is like under a tree, there are leaves that are, rotting, leaves that have become dark in color. You can just pick a handful of those leaves and add it to your, compost. It will kickstart your composting process.
Very true. Thank you, ma'am. The next question is, how much space is it is required for a small house, and so how do we manage the mosquito or any other pest issues, any rodents or any smell? How do we manage that? Yeah. So they've specially mentioned mosquitoes and cockroaches. How do we manage?
Mosquitoes don't breed in compost at all, because mosquitoes need stagnant water. So if you have a coconut, cup, the coconut, this lying around, and if there is rainwater in this, mosquitoes will breed in that, but never in compost. So that's number one. Secondly, compost will have lot of things that you can't see. There'll be microorganisms that you can't see, and there will be a few other, little insects and creatures which are a part of its ecosystem. The thing is, composting attracts things that are good for the composting and not bad for us. They do. So cockroaches, yes, it is very scary. You want to go and put your compost and then there's a cockroach there or a lizard there. So just secure, like I showed you in this. Now there is a soldier fly hovering around this because it can smell food and it wants to go and lay its eggs, into it. But if you secure a net like this on the compost, on the bin, if you secure the net like this, nothing will enter. And then put a lid. So it has to have a proper lid so that rodents don't enter. If you do open composting, if you have, backyard, and if you're doing open composting, yes, rodents will come. You need to be careful. As long as you cover your food material with some browns, then even the fruit flies won't come. Because if you have a ripening banana, an overripe banana in your kitchen, you'll get fruit flies. Same way, when there is waste in your compost bin, food waste, the smell of the food itself will attract fruit flies. Hello? Yeah. What happened? I lost.
Yeah, it got disconnected in between, ma'am.
Okay. Any other
for a while. No, ma'am. These are the few questions. Thank you very much. For sure, we'll share your Insta link with everybody, so people will directly get in touch with you. Thank you, ma'am. I'll request Shiva's son, our management.
How many people?
Yeah, ma'am.
How many people attended?
More than 200 participants, ma'am.
Okay. I really want to thank all of you, and I hope that you all, this session helped you to, continue on a sustainable path.
Thank you, ma'am. Over to you, Keshava-san.
Yeah. Good afternoon, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. First of all, on behalf of TKM and its family, I think so we had around 200 plus audience who joined over here. I'd like to thank you for this session. I think so bringing in a lot of views on how to reduce waste, keep our environment clean. I think so as TKM, I think so we don't call it waste. We always call it value. So I think so bringing value at home is one more thing I think so we need to inculcate at homes to keep our environment clean. I think so just to tell most of our people, our members who are working with us come from the background of farming. So I think it's only that how they are going to use that in this environment. That's the city environment, or where really I think so. The question was, how do we do it with the space? Is it sufficient or such things? I think so. The views, what you shared, that how much small space or what and all can be used is really helpful. We'll try to take it forward as a TKM point of view. We do have a ecozone, what we call, where we promote students from schools. We bring them over there. We try to explain them about the waste, how to convert waste into treasure. So this is an opportunity where we would also like to welcome all our families to TKM, where we can show them how we do, and they can also see how it is being utilized because even in our company, there's a lot of waste which come out because of the canteen what we have, or because of the process what we have, which we do composting, and it is being used within the plant for our eco development activity. I only have a request, maybe sometimes if you can also give an explanation in Kannada, it would really help us. I think so. ನಿಮಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡ ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ಬಹುಶಃ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ನಡ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊತಾರೆ.
ಅಷ್ಟು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾತಾಡಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಬೇಗ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ.
ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಟು ಮೈ ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಹೂ ಆರ್ ದೇರ್ ಟುಡೇ, ಬಹುಶಃ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಸಿಟಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಬಂದಿದೀವಿ, ಬಟ್ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಬೆಳೆದು ಬಂದಿರುವಂತ ವಾತಾವರಣ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲೇ ಗೊಬ್ಬರ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಮೇಡಮ್ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗೆ ಹಸು ಸಾಕಿರ್ತೀವಿ, ಎಲ್ಲಾರ ಮನೇಲೂ ಹಸು ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾವು ಹೊಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವಂತ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಸನ ಹಾಕಿ ಗೊಬ್ಬರ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನೇ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಈಗ ಬಹುಶಃ ಒಂದು 10 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಈ ಯೂರಿಯಾ ಅಥವಾ ಈ ತರದ್ದು ಫರ್ಟಿಲೈಸರ್ಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಾವ್ ಏನ್ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದರಿಂದ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂತ ಪರಿಣಾಮಗಳು ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಗೋ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಟು ದ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್, ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಹೊಸದೇನಿಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಟು ದ ಬೇಸಿಕ್ಸ್. ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಜಾಗ ಒಂದು ಸಾಲಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಬಟ್ ಜಾಗ ಸಾಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ತೋರಿಸ್ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಯೂಸ್, ಲರ್ನ್, ಕಮ್ ಟು ಟಿಕೆಮ್. ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಸೊ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ದೇರ್, ಮನೆಯವ್ರು ಯಾರಾದ್ರೆ ಟಿಕೆಮ್ಗೆ ಬನ್ನಿ, ನಾವು ತೋರಿಸ್ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಒಂದು ಸೆಷನ್ ಅರೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಇದನ್ನ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೇಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಒಂದು ವಾತಾವರಣ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಇಟ್ಕೋಬಹುದು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಒಳ್ಳೇದು ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಮ್ಯಾಮ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ವೆರಿ ಮಚ್ ಫಾರ್ ಜಾಯ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಗಿವಿಂಗ್ ದ ಇನ್ಸೈಟ್. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
Thank you, Kishore-san. Thank you, Vani ma'am. We will end the session here. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for joining. Thank you.
Thank you.